Jesus gets what she deserves, she'll go straight to hell. But the good thing is they're going to get better than what they deserve. Because God's going to take the punishment of their crimes and dump them on His own Son, and His Son will pay the bill. And you and I, by the mercy of God, will have the same, I pray. Where then is the boasting? Well, it's excluded. You might say, well, where's the law that says thou shalt not boast? Well, it's not about that. Well, where's the work of a law that says thou shalt not boast? No, that's not why you cannot boast. There's another reason you cannot boast. Here it is. He says, no, it's because of a principle, a law of faith. Here's his point. It's because you didn't do it. You're not the answer to the problem. You're the problem. You cannot boast because you put your trust in someone else. You faith someone else to make you righteous. So how can you be proud of your righteousness? You didn't do it. Someone else did it, so you don't have anything to boast about. Verse 28, for we maintain that a man is justified by faith apart from works. And there it is again, that word chorus. That word just, he's made straight again, not by what he does, but by trusting someone else. And it is chorus. It has no connection with whatsoever. It's as far as one side of the Grand Canyon to the other. It has no connection to works. It has nothing to do with what you do. It was a gift. Some translations translate that by faith alone. And the word alone is not there. I'll be honest, it's not there. But the implication is so strong to say there's no connection with. It's a giant chasm between the two. Is the same to say as faith alone. They were justified by faith apart from works. And there it is. Now, if it says that means you cannot be justified by Moses' law, but maybe you can be justified by Jesus' law. But it doesn't say the law. It just says law. Huge difference. Apart from works of law, and by the way, if you've got translations and you're wondering about me removing these, most translations, if it's got translator's footnotes, you look beside those words law and there'll be a little number 1 or a little letter A, and you look over to the column and it'll say or law instead of or the law. And almost every time in translator's notes, what's in the column will be the correct translation. The reason they put it there was they knew it was, but it didn't sound right in English. You see, in English it sounds like we need a word the there, apart from the works of the law. To just drop out of these sounds weird to an English ear until you've been saying it. As long as I've been saying it, it doesn't sound weird to me anymore because I keep saying it that way. But the translator is trying to tell you that literally in Greek there's no the because there's a point there. He says, we're justified by faith. It has nothing to do with any work of any law. Now, if it has something to do with any law, for example, Moses' law, if that's the case, then God's only a God of the Jews. He's the only one He cares about. They're the only ones He cares about. Why? He only gave the law to the Jews. He never gave it to us Gentiles. But you see, He loves everyone. Is He not the God of the Gentiles also? And the answer is yes. In other words, people without the law. Yes, if the Gentiles also since, here's proof, what kind of God is He? He's the God who will justify the circumcised, that means the ones who are under law, by faith, not by their circumcision or what they do. And also He will justify the uncircumcision through faith. He's only one God. He's going to justify everybody the exact same way because we all failed. And we need some other way of being made righteous. Last paragraph, and last verse, we're almost done. Law as a powerful accuser is shown. You know, Paul was being criticized that he didn't care about law. I have been all my life. In fact, my best friend was in this Contending for the Faith magazine, and it said in the top line, and I was a part of that, it said, the all grace, no law, Jim Massey heresy. Man, they just slaughtered him all the way through. And I know Jim. I mean, we were best friends all of my life. I'll tell you what, he believed, and there's nobody, he's dead now. There's nobody that worked as hard for God as he did. But I'll tell you this, in spite of him trying to obey God's laws, he was still a sinner. And in spite of how far he went to obey God's laws, he knew where his hope rests. His hope was built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and His righteousness. But because he constantly was showing that obedience to law will not make you righteous, people thought he was discarding law. The same thing was happening in Rome. There was people there saying that about Paul. And so notice what he's going to say in this passage. Do we then nullify the law? And now, do we nullify law? Are we saying that law or our obedience to God is not important? Are we saying that law has nothing to do with anything? And he says, are we nullifying it through faith by switching to a faith thing instead of a law thing? Then it says in Greek, me genoito. Me genoito means it's an expression. I saw a Cotton Patch version. It's called a Cotton Patch version. You all read it? It's a real rare translation, and it's really wild. But it uses an explicative right there that I'm not even going to say in front of you to translate me genoito, because me genoito is an expression. It means absolutely no way, it's impossible. I'm not trying to nullify law through faith. May it never be. And then it's got the Greek word alla. Alla is the strongest way to show an adversative in Greek. It means the exact opposite. No, the opposite of that. We establish law. Yes, there's no thee there again. Now, how is Paul establishing law? Listen to me carefully. We're almost done. If you're thinking that here's God's laws, and you can repent, change your life, you're never really perfect. You never really quite give up on covetousness. You never really quite give up on talking ugly to someone or yelling at someone, or you never quite give up on whatever it is that you do. But somehow, because you quit smoking, drinking, cussing, whatever it is, and you started coming to church every Sunday, you can go to heaven. Well, you're the one who made law nothing. You said in those places where I failed to obey law, God's just going to overlook it. But I'm telling you that every single solitary sin will not be overlooked. There will not be any sin overlooked. Every single solitary sin you've ever done, thought, or had not done, and therefore it was sin because you didn't do what you were supposed to, every sin will be paid for. Because God is a just God. And He cannot justly pronounce you as just if you're not just. You see, how is faith then not overthrowing law? Because I'm saying that every law must have its just penalty. And the penalty is not that you change your life a little bit. The penalty is death. Paul's demanding the penalty, and what was the penalty? Christ crucified. Christ's death came and deathed your death for you. He's saying just because you become a little better tomorrow doesn't change the fact you're a sinner. If you can go to heaven because you just changed your life a little bit, then the law has no power at all. It was unable to condemn those failures that you still have. But I tell you that law will condemn. Whether it is Moses' law or Jesus' law, it will condemn every single solitary thought you've had that was wrong. And you'll stand before God lost and undone if you don't fix that problem. And there's one who will. Put your faith in the one who will pay your bill. Because law will stand. If you've ever sinned, you got a problem. And why do you have a problem? Because the wrath of God is going to be revealed against every single solitary sin, every mistake you've ever spoken, every bad tone of voice you've ever had, every covetous thought you've ever had, and every lustful thought you've ever had. It's going to be paid for. The choice is you can pay for it or Jesus will pay for it. That's the two choices. So that's what I want. You must have complete, total righteousness. But once you've lost that righteousness, only Jesus can achieve it back because He's the only one that paid the bill. So my plea to you this morning is, let Him pay the bill. He's offering to pay it. All you got to do is decide right now, He's the only one that can get me out of this mess. Put your trust in Him, that He will pay the bill for you. And receive the value of what He did by reenacting His death, the very death that death your death for you. If you have any reason to respond, I hope you will while we stand and sing.